Welcome back to the Green Yard and to a follow-up video of one of our most popular videos on the channel. I'm over here in the front part of the Green Yard, this front yard space. I've done a few videos over here before. I did one on growing a Pakistan mulberry tree here in the Phoenix area. We're going to talk about that Pakistan mulberry here in a second. And then I also did one about growing a Royal Empress tree, which is what we're talking about today. It is the beginning of April here in Phoenix. Beautiful weather right now. We've actually had a lot of rain this year, which has been wonderful. Got about 2 inches of rain in our rain gauge between yesterday and the day before, which is really amazing to get about 2 inches of rain. Everything's really lush, and unfortunately all the weeds are coming up and kind of growing right now, but our trees really seem to be enjoying and loving that a little bit cooler weather than normal, and also that rain that we keep getting. So let's talk a little bit about our Royal Empress tree, our Paulownia tree. Our Paulownia tree, we have one on either side of the green yard, kind of over on the actual edge of the green yard itself. And what made our video so popular last time was just the intense growth that we've gotten from this tree. This tree, I looked back, it's been in the ground almost exactly 3 years, and it is probably pushing 25 feet tall or so right now. And actually our one on the other side is a little bit taller. Noticing a lot of things this past year with our Royal Empress trees. They live up to their title of being one of the fastest growing trees in the world. It is amazing that I put this tree in the ground as a little, 1 foot tall, little tiny sprout, and it is now almost 25 feet tall after 3 years. Crazy. They love our heat. They love our winters. They do go dormant in the winter. They do defoliate. They're deciduous. So it's actually right now just starting to push out these brand new leaves. And it's really amazing to just see how well it's doing. One of the main things I want to feature is the flowers, because that's why most people plant these trees, is for the flowers that they have. So let's go ahead, let's talk a little bit more about the flowers of our Paulownia, our Royal Empress tree. Here we go. So speaking of the flowers on these trees, absolutely beautiful floral clusters here. They kind of cluster together, and then they do flower out. They will eventually lose that flower, and it just has this stem left over, like you can see on this one right here. So this one's already lost its flower. We've been a little bit windier this spring, so we have been seeing more flower drop than I have before. But if we look up into the canopy, you'll see that most of the flowers that we have are actually up in that canopy itself. Lots of bees, lots of pollinators coming and getting some pollen from the flowers up there. The leaves themselves on this Royal Empress, so this one really branched out last year. It had grown tall, but it really hadn't branched out yet, kind of creating more of a canopy. Leaves are really amazing with this tree. It's one of my favorite parts about our Royal Empress are these leaves. They're actually fuzzy. So I'm touching it right now, and it doesn't feel like a normal leaf. It actually feels fuzzy. And as they get more mature and they get bigger, they get to be about 1 foot wide, those leaves, and they get fuzzier and fuzzier as they mature. You can see down here we have this trunk of this Royal Empress, this Paulownia tree. Really, really big trunk. I honestly can't believe how big this trunk is. Very, very impressive. I've had to cut off a few of the lower branches on our other tree just so that I can actually get in here, weed eat, mow, things like that. But this tree is an absolute beauty. especially with all those flowers up at the top. So this is our other Royal Empress, our other Paulownia tree. And this one actually has purple flowers. Notice how the one before has those white flowers. This one has purple flowers. Apparently, the most common variety is the one with those purple flowers on them. See this guy once again, just that ginormous trunk that we have here. It's really, really huge. I know they use these Royal Empress trees for woodworking, things like that. I'm not a woodworker, so I won't be doing that. I'm just here to enjoy those beautiful flowers. This one actually blooms a little bit later than our other one. Our white flowering Royal Empress bloomed and has been blooming for the last 3 weeks or so. This one still has all those closed blossoms that you can see up at the top. It's not blooming yet. So kind of interesting to see the different variations in this tree. It's something that I haven't noticed until this year. Last year they looked the same and they seemed to flower the same. This year not so much. This year this one's way behind and it has these purple flowers instead of white. So in terms of growing our Royal Empress, our Paulownia trees, they are one of the easiest trees to grow. I would say second to our mulberry tree, which I know I mentioned before. Pakistan mulberry, it is actually fruiting this year. Very, very excited. I actually released a short about it fruiting. Hopefully I get to do a harvest video for you guys soon. That would be really, really amazing. But with our Paulownia tree, super easy to grow. So for me, I did soil amendments. I added a lot of mulch when I first planted it. I put in my thick, foot or so thick layer of mulch. I added in my sulfur because for my research at the time, it needed some lower pH. I'm not sure if that's exactly true because I haven't added sulfur in a while and they're still doing pretty well. And then I also gave them fish emulsion every month or so. With the rest of my fruiting and flowering trees, I went in and I gave these trees fish emulsion. So I'm not sure. Those are kind of the factors that I used in order to get the growth that I've received. I'm not sure if that affected it. I've heard that these trees, as long as they're in full sun, can grow and have that growth, whether you're feeding them or not, whether you're giving that sulfur or not. That might be an experiment for someone else to do. I'm just enjoying these amazing trees that have grown so quickly here in the green yard. So one of the biggest topics of debate that we had in the comment section of the other video was something that I brought up when we first talked about growing these Paulownia trees, these Royal Empress trees, which is that of their invasiveness. So they're known for being very invasive, especially back in the East Coast. A lot of places won't let you plant them just for that reason. There are some sterile varieties, and that's what I mentioned in my last video, was the fact that they do make some sterile varieties. They're known to create large seed pods that disperse a lot of seeds all at once. So far here in the Phoenix area, there hasn't been any reports or indications of these trees being invasive here in Phoenix. One comment that I actually recently had was about root sprouts. So I went back and I did a little bit more research on our Paulownia trees, our Royal Empress trees, and I found out that not only do they disperse by seed, but they also disperse by root sprouts. And that's one of the ways that they are considered invasive, is because they will go and they will sprout up in different parts of the yard. So far, after 3 years and after it growing to this giant size, neither of our trees have put out any sort of root sprouts or anything like that. I'm not sure if that's just because we're on flood irrigation and they get properly watered, that deep soaking water, so it's keeping those roots down, or if maybe these are a sterile variety that don't produce those root shoots. I'm not sure, and that's something that maybe someone who has a little bit more experience with these trees might be able to comment. But I'm very happy and very excited that I haven't noticed any sort of invasive qualities to these trees. In fact, they are becoming one of my favorite shade trees here in the Phoenix area, and one that I would definitely recommend if you're looking to get some shade and get it quick, right? So if we think about this space now, this tree is on the west side of our yard. And so if we think about this space now, we could actually plant here some of our tropical trees that need that afternoon shade. So definitely a really good, really fast growing shade tree. If you guys have any questions, please make sure you comment below. And of course, as always, live green, plant lots, and have fun. We'll see you guys next time.